Okay, so hello, my name's Brady Robards and I'm a Senior Research Fellow at Monash University, and I'm also an Associate Editor of the Journal of Sociology. And today I'm very fortunate to be joined by one of our authors of a recent article published in the Journal of Sociology, Professor Deborah Lupton. Professor Lupton is a Sharp Professor in the Centre for Social Research and Health and the Social Policy Research Centre Leader of the Vitalities Lab at the University of New South Wales. Professor Lupton is also a leader of the UNSW node for the ARC Centre of Excellence for Automated Decision Making and Society. Thanks so much for joining me today, Deborah. You've had an article published recently in the journal, co-authored with Dr. Claire Southerton, titled "The Thing Power of the Facebook Assemblage: Why Do Users Stay on the Platform?" It's such a fantastic read. I really enjoyed it. And it's already attracted quite a lot of attention, with more than 250 downloads just in the last month or so that it's been up. So tell us a bit about the article. What's the significance of it? And why do people stay on Facebook?
Well, it actually, the idea for the article came out of me contemplating the impact of the Cambridge Analytica scandal in early 2018. And there was so much media coverage of the scandal and how Facebook was supposedly implicated in basically brainwashing people's electoral decisions and so on. And I was quite skeptical about the media coverage. I thought it was over the top and exaggerated, and basically positioned Facebook as this sort of evil operator that was only out to kind of exploit people and make them vote in ways that they didn't want to. So I was really interested in what the Australian public thought about, who use Facebook, thought about Cambridge Analytica, or if they thought about it at all, and if it had affected their use of Facebook. So I did an interview project involving telephone interviews with 30 people, diverse range of people, adults around Australia, and they had to be either Facebook current users or past users to be involved. And the questions asked them, basically in general terms: why do you use Facebook? What do you find useful and beneficial about it? Have you ever thought about leaving, or have you left? There was no specific question about Cambridge Analytica or any other scandal involving Facebook, because I did want to see if people actually did spontaneously mention Cambridge Analytica or any other scandals in their discussions of what they like or dislike about Facebook. And interestingly enough, nobody actually mentioned the term Cambridge Analytica, even though it was only the interviews were conducted 6 months after the scandal got so much high media attention in Australia and globally. So that was interesting in itself. And what the study found was, we sort of took a vignette approach. So we gave examples, little case studies of 7 out of the 30 participants that we selected, just because they had some interesting and different topics and issues that they discussed. And what we found was that it was really the micropolitics of other people's interactions on Facebook that annoyed people. They were not concerned at all about privacy issues, about Facebook exploiting them. They were obviously aware about targeted advertising, because it's impossible not to know that Facebook uses targeted advertising, because we see it all the time. But that was more annoying or irritating, sometimes helpful for people. They certainly didn't think they were being exploited, and they didn't think they were being brainwashed by Facebook. If they had left or thought about leaving Facebook, it was really because they were just irritated by too much oversharing from other people, or found that it used up too much of their time or distracted them from their in-person interactions with people. But most people hadn't thought about leaving. Most people were very happy to be long-term users of Facebook. And we know that Australians in general are amongst the keenest Facebook users globally as well. So, and basically the figures from stats show that there wasn't a mass exodus from Facebook after Cambridge Analytica. And basically what our article shows is there are many reasons why people want to use Facebook and get benefits from Facebook, whether it's communicating with people in interest groups. I mean, Facebook groups is a really great affordance of Facebook that a lot of people really appreciate it, whether it's to talk to other people with rare health conditions or disabilities, or just rare hobbies, unusual hobbies, for example, or for mothers, getting support from other mothers. That's a big use of Facebook.
Mm.
For business purposes, to keep in contact with family who are spread out over the country or even internationally. Facebook serves many of those purposes, and people just find it really, really helpful and useful to use.
Because it's quite interesting where you said at the start one of your motivations was around the kind of Cambridge Analytica scandal, but that's not something that came out in the interviews at all. And I think there is, one really valuable thing I think from your article is that there is this kind of focus put on everyday people's interpretations and understandings of, privacy and those kinds of concerns that I think, researchers like us are very aware of and listen to discussions and debates all the time about these pressures and forces. But this doesn't seem to figure into those everyday understandings of what Facebook is and what it affords people, I suppose. Is that what you found?
Yes, definitely. And as I mentioned, I mean, people didn't refer to the scandals around Facebook. I mean, Cambridge Analytica is only one of them. There's been several over the years. And of course, we've had the recent one of Facebook withdrawing news for a week from Australian users that got a lot of media attention as well. So it's a continuing thing, really, that the media likes to be down on Facebook, and so do media and communication scholars like to be down on Facebook, really. I mean, it's, what we call in a chapter we've written on the same project, Beyond Wicked Facebook, because we really want to get beyond the stereotypes about Facebook is always bad, always evil. And of course there are many. I mean, it's a highly profitable enterprise, and it's sometimes done things that not every user would agree with. But why do people continue? I mean, the key question for me was, why do people continue to use it? And I see many other media and comms or sociologist academics on Facebook, myself, at the same time as they're writing highly negative articles about Facebook, they're happily using it for their personal use. Or there's also lots of academic interest groups on Facebook that I personally find really, really a great way for me to communicate with other academics working on sociology of digital media. So it's a kind of funny little tension, really, that
and it's such a complex answer to that question that you ask in the title: why do users stay on the platform? And for those watching this video, have a look at Deborah and Claire's article, because the answer is much more complex, I think, than many people initially assume. So no, that's fantastic. Deborah, as a last sort of question, where to next? What else are you working on? Is this project continuing on, or are you turning your attention to new things?
Well, because with the ARC Centre of Excellence in Automated Decision Making Society, I've now got a 7-year program involved with that centre as one of the key leaders in the centre. I actually also lead the health focus area in the centre, as well as the UNSW nodes. So I'm about to recruit some postdocs, and we'll be doing a lot of research around automated decision making in the health and medical sphere in Australia and outside Australia in some cases as well. But what I constantly want to emphasise as a digital sociologist is that we can't just see a platform like Facebook or software like automated decision making software as its own entity. They're always operating in a huge ecosystem of digital media and devices. So that's certainly the approach we'll be taking in the health focus area in the Centre of Excellence. It'll be about automated decision making, but it'll also be about the broader context, and which will include social media. It'll include, self-tracking devices. It'll include telemedicine and all those sorts of other dimensions of health and medical related digital media and devices.
Fantastic. Sounds fascinating. Keen to see where it goes. Thanks so much for your time, Deborah, and for everyone listening along, please go and check out this fantastic article. It's on the Journal of Sociology website, and we'll also link to it in the description of the video. So thanks so much, Deborah, for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Brady.